I'm Sarah Wilson, and you're listening to the Roots and All Budcast. Hello, and welcome to this week's episode of the Budcast. This week, I'm carrying on my celebration of all things vegan gardening by chatting with Cotton of Fertile Fibre. Since the 1980s, Fertile Fibre have been producing peat-free, coir-based organic composts. This range of traditional composts has been continually improved over the past 25 years and regularly does well in trials such as the Which Gardening Best Buy Awards. Fertile Fibre are Soil Association approved, meaning they have the chops on the organic front, but they've also been working closely with the Vegan Society and the Biodynamic Association to develop composts which are specifically tailored to meeting the needs of those growers. Something Fertile Fibre works particularly hard on delivering, and something we as consumers and growers need, is a clear reassurance that the product we're purchasing is fully traceable. This is particularly important if you want to buy organic or vegan products. For example, I spoke to a company recently who source part of their products from a large turkey farm in the US. I personally don't want to support the turkey farming industry, doubly so a non-organic turkey farming industry, and I don't want to buy a product that's been shipped in from the States necessarily. We probably have enough bird poop of our own knocking about that we could use. But I expect most of us have picked up a couple of bags of compost from the garden centre without thinking too much about where it came from and what goes into it. I know I have. I launched into a little mini rant about halfway through the interview with Caroline about our responsibility as consumers, but it is something we all need to think about. We are collectively a huge group of buyers, and we can use our purchasing power wisely to effect positive changes in production and manufacturing. I'm particularly keen to try out the vegan range of Fertile Fibre, and as I mentioned in the interview, I can't find any other composts that are Vegan Society approved, but if you do know of any, please do get in touch. And if you're also interested in trying out any of the Fertile Fibre products, then listen through to the end of the episode when Caroline very kindly passes on an offer to Roots and All listeners. Now on with the interview. So, can you tell me a bit about your range of products, please? And specifically, can you explain the terms organic and biodynamic as they relate to composts?
Yes, of course. Well, Fertile Fibre produces a wide range of organic peat-free composts, organic fertilisers and other organically sourced ingredients. It was originally the brainchild of Robert Hurst way back in 1989. Rob was a hop farmer and was able to use the composted hop waste, which included hop string, coir string, to grow his plants. Really pleased with the results. This sent him on a search for more of the same, and he realised there was plenty of this unused product around. He sourced organic nutrients to add to the coir, and with the help of the late, great Jeff Hamilton, they were able to make, trial and analyse different recipes until they had the right combination for production. Matthew then took over the business in 2004, allowing Rob to concentrate on growing plants and herbs with his wife Kim at their nursery, the Cottage Herbery. And Matthew has expanded the range of products and continues to explore new uses of coir as a growing medium. Organic and biodynamic growing systems are in many ways similar. They focus on growing without the use of pesticides, herbicides, or genetically modified organisms. Both practices produce fantastically healthy food and produce. Both respect ecological processes and the environment. And the term organic in our case simply means a compost or product produced without the use of artificial chemicals or genetically modified organisms. Biodynamic composts are also fully organic, but they have the addition of unique herbal and mineral preparations, which are designed as an additional tonic, really, to bolster the life that supports the plants, aiding, for example, the uptake of nutrients and ensuring that plants are, if possible, even healthier.
Okay, so if you were to choose the organic or the biodynamic, really that's a matter of personal choice, I presume. And are there any situations where you wouldn't particularly use those products?
No, it's really a matter of personal choice. The biodynamic composts fit the brief. Originally, they were the work of Rudolf Steiner. most famous for his contribution to education that led to the Steiner schools. And he also looked very closely at growing plants for sort of lunar and astrological cycles. And again, the biodynamic growing systems work along with those ideas as well. So it's a personal preference thing, depending on how you like to grow.
Okay. And you also offer vegan mixes, but I think you said that the biodynamic mix isn't vegan, so you'd need to choose presumably the specific vegan mixes from your site.
Yes, if you're growing strictly to if you're vegan standards, then you really need to pick our VGrow mixes, which are Vegan Society approved mixes.
Okay, so can you just tell me a little bit about Vegan Society approved composts?
Yes, well, very much like the Soil Association, products have to annually pass very strict criteria laid down by the Vegan Society to be eligible for approval by the Society. All products must be free of animal products and involve no animal testing. And again, the Vegan Society trademark we're permitted to use is a mark of that rigorous procedure and traceability, and is designed really to give consumers total reassurance that the products with the trademark are suitable for vegans to use with confidence. And, we think that these are very important elements to ensure confidence with products that perhaps people aren't familiar with.
Mm-hmm. Yes, I mean, I went to a trade show a few weeks back, and it was difficult to get people to nail them down to tell me what they put into their mixes or where they source things from, which is understandable. I don't want trade secrets divulged, but it would be nice to check the provenance of things, and that Vegan Society approval and the Soil Association approval actually gives you that. And what a lot of people were saying to me was, oh, well, we know our products are grown organic. We know that they are sourced and they're vegan. We just don't go through the rigmarole of having the approval. But do you think that's really important that people should have that if they are selling products as either vegan or organic or what have you?
Yes. I'm not sure how it's possible to ensure traceability without bodies such as the Biodynamic Association, the Soil Association, or the Vegan Society checking up on really what you're attempting to do. I'm quite surprised to hear that you can't get an overview. We've always been very transparent about the basic ingredients in our mixes, and people are always welcome to ring up and ask for the details. But certainly the recipes, the actual recipes, do go to all those bodies and are carefully scrutinised by them to ensure that they fit within their strict criteria that they all work to individually.
Mm-hmm. So I'm celebrating Veganuary or Veganuary, however you want to pronounce it, on the podcast. So I am particularly interested in your vegan products. So which ones are vegan on your website?
Yeah, well, certainly not all our products are suitable for vegans, but we, again, have been working with the Vegan Society to produce this range of vegan composts. We currently make a VGrow seed, a VGrow multi-purpose, and a VGrow potting mix. The VGrow seed mix is an ideal growing medium to start seeds off with a low nutrient base. The multi-purpose has more nutrient and will happily suit larger seeds and young plants. And our potting mix is very nutrient rich and is designed to feed plants in pots or grow bags for a full growing season. Hungry plants may, of course, need a supplementary feed, which can be added as a top dressing by using our vegan fertilisers as required.
Okay, so what goes into making your vegan composts?
So the vegan composts, they are very similar to our traditional composts. They have a mixture of coir fibre, bark, perlite, vermiculite, and then, of course, because they're vegan composts, they have vegan fertilisers added to those mixes.
Okay, and the vegan fertiliser is the one that you can buy on its own, and what's the name of that?
Yeah, it is literally called a vegan fertiliser,
right, okay.
Which is actually on the vegan. It's listed under the vegan, so hopefully anybody looking at the website won't make mistakes if they're wanting to grow to vegan standards. Mm-hmm. And those vegan fertilisers are a balanced mix of a vegetable-based nutrient, And they're all designed to provide a balance of nitrogen, phosphate, potash, and the vegan fertilisers are no exception. They provide very balanced 5-5-5 nutrient, which releases slowly over a period of time and is very rich in trace elements and will help germinate seeds or whatever you're wishing to grow in the composts. You'll be able to do so and get excellent results.
Okay. So they are like a general purpose kind of controlled release fertiliser. This is a bit left field question, but if in the future people want to source a fertiliser that's particularly, say, high in nitrogen, how easy is that going to be to find a vegan version of that product?
Yes, that's a good question. I don't know the answer to that question. I think that it would perhaps, if there was a sufficient demand, we could certainly look at those sorts of requirements, and certainly for people that are hoping to produce high quantities of, for example, tomatoes and things like that, then, they do require nutrients that are higher in certain base elements. We could certainly look at that in the future. The vast majority of people are really happy to grow across the board in the compost that we have as a ready mixed combination, and are able to get mostly the results they require. Mm-hmm. Some obviously additionally use the seaweed supplements and things like that to add additional trace elements to composts. So there are lots of ways in which you can boost the compost to get even better results.
Mm-hmm. And have you trialled any of these, or have you had any feedback from people who have trialled the vegan products and compared them with, say, standard products that are available?
We haven't had any formal trials done on the vegan products. We're getting excellent feedback from our customers who are telling us that they're getting very good results from the vegan fertilisers and the vegan mixes of compost. We always batch test all our composts, in which we always use the same fertilisers that we provide to customers. A small quantity of the product from each mix is taken, and we'll trial the batch to ensure that it's a viable growing medium. So typically we grow something quick to germinate like cress seed. And we really have noticed very little difference between our vegan ranges and our traditional ranges of composts, which have been performing well now for some 20-odd years.
Mm-hmm. So if anyone's out there listening, that might be a really interesting experiment to conduct. And in fact, I might even dabble myself in the spring just to see the results.
That's a great idea. Mm. Yeah, we particularly love feedback from people who are trying things, particularly people who are amateur gardeners and are just trying it in the usual environments in which they're hoping to grow plants. That's great feedback for us. It helps us to continue to improve and work hard at getting consistently better and better results. There's always room for improvement with all of these composts, and we're always looking for ways to get more standardised, improved results across the board.
Mm. Yeah, definitely. Okay, well, that's definitely a challenge accepted, I reckon. So we were talking about your compost mix, and specifically the vegan one, but I think this probably goes for all of them. They have a coir base, and then you add in vermiculite, perlite, bark, and the fertiliser in, whatever ratio you is your recipe. Obviously, we've talked about the fertiliser element being vegan. So just kind of going through the other elements, how are they performing in terms of kind of sustainability? How do they affect, the environment? Are they all, kind of responsibly sourced products? Maybe start with the coir. And could you tell me about where that comes from?
Yeah, certainly. Well, peat, as your listeners will know, traditionally has been the base of compost for many years. And, it makes an excellent growing medium. But, and it's a big but, it takes thousands of years to produce a peat bog, many of which are sites of special scientific interest. And with the large machinery now available, it takes very little time to decimate these areas. it's also becoming increasingly obvious, I think, to all of us, that these lowland bogs also hold large amounts of rainfall, slowing runoff, reducing flooding. So it's vital to preserve these remaining peat bogs, and they're very valuable ecosystems. Mm-hmm. So we use coir or coconut fibre in place of the peat, and